Beyond a doubt, this year has been punctuated by various challenges, by both metaphorical and literal storms. What I want to communicate to you all today is that we're not defeated, we're not weakened, we're port strong. It's a phrase that has come to mean a lot to us of late. It's a badge of honor that we carry with us wherever we go. These words are imbued with pride, with honor, and with a grave responsibility. To be port strong means to be unshakable. We are port strong in our seaport facilities. We are port strong as a workforce, and we are port strong as a pillar of support for the community. Part of the strength comes from our financial fortitude. That is, we have been firmly positioned on the global stage, internationally recognized for our record tonnage and crude exports. That clout provided us with muscle needed to sustain the impacts from the COVID-19 pandemic and other blows. Despite an unpredictable year punctuated by challenges, the Port of Corpus Christi has proven an unstoppable engine for stakeholders and the communities it serves. Though we continue to weather the pandemic, our port remains in strong financial standing and remarkably has continued to break tonnage records. The first 6 months of 2020 actually proved to be the best first half of the year that the Port of Corpus Christi has ever had. In the first half of 2020, we moved a record tonnage of nearly 77 million tons. That is more than 24 million tons over the volume we did in the first half of 2019. Folks, that's a staggering 46.39% increase. We moved nearly 443 million barrels of crude year to date for 2020 as of September the 30th. And at the close of September 2020, we had exported 268.8 billion cubic feet of LNG. Though the struggles of business during a pandemic that largely shut down business around the world, the Port of Corpus Christi focused on balancing public health and safety with economic vitality. Remarkably, we eclipsed the Port of Houston as the top crude export port in the nation. That's quite a coup for our customers, our stakeholders, employees, and the communities we serve. To quote my colleague, Port of Corpus Christi CEO Strawbridge, as a major gateway for U.S. energy to other states and our global allies and trading partners, we have a distinct responsibility to our customers and stakeholders to continue business operations with as minimal impacts as humanly possible, keeping public health and safety at the forefront. These are certainly troubling times we are navigating. However, we are committed to protecting both lives and livelihoods by mitigating risks through appropriate screening protocols and social distancing, while keeping critical service and infrastructure functioning as normal as possible. Through the challenges of 2020, the Port of Corpus Christi prioritized keeping the port open for business. We collaborated with area agencies and responders to implement COVID-19 protocols that would allow the port to remain open for customers and stakeholders to continue providing the goods and services our communities depend on. These protocols extended to our employees. We ensured that they had what they needed to safely operate in this new normal. On March 13th, we activated our Port of Corpus Christi Incident Management Team to monitor the COVID-19 pandemic and coordinate our response efforts. To reduce safety risks to our workforce and their loved ones, on March 20th, we sent all non-operational on-site personnel home to work in self-contained environments. And I'm proud to share with you that we did not have any layoffs. Instead, we adapted and overcame. As area businesses closed temporarily throughout the South Texas Coastal Bend community to combat evolving COVID-19 concerns, the Port of Corpus Christi remained open to provide critical infrastructure services and functions. Just as we've always kept our docks up to date, we worked to ensure that our port remained accessible to Port Authority employees, marine terminal operators, labor, vessel pilots, tug and barge operators, seafarers, stevedores, vessel agents, line handlers, and key personnel needed to maintain operations in support of the energy industry. We adjusted our safety protocols to include temperature screenings and enforced executive orders for facial coverings and social distancing where possible. And we made it a point to be front and center in our regional and national community communicating the status and forecast of port operations. At the outset of the COVID-19 pandemic, our CEO, Sean Strawbridge, shared a public message of hope to allay fears and inspire optimism. And I'd like to share that message with you all now because I believe it captures what it means to be port strong.
Hello, I'm Sean Strawbridge, Chief Executive Officer of the Port of Corpus Christi. As the leading energy port in the nation, the Port of Corpus Christi is vital to our nation's economy and our national security. Over 1 million workers' livelihoods are dependent upon our ability to remain open for business. As we combat the spread of this global pandemic, our incident management team continues to work in close collaboration with our partners, including the U.S. Coast Guard, Customs and Border Protection, and the Nueces County Department of Public Health. We continue to support our healthcare professionals and first responders through the distribution of meals, and most recently, in partnership with HEB, we coordinated the distribution of over 1,000 gallons of hand sanitizer to first responders and area hospitals. Whether in calm seas or troubled waters, we are united, and together we are port strong.
That last bit became our mantra through 2020. Whether in calm seas or troubled waters, we are united, and together we are port strong. We believe that the Port of Corpus Christi is not just a building at 222 Power Street. Rather, the Port of Corpus Christi is a community of port users and neighbors. In everything we do, we maintain regular communications with this community. As COVID-19 became a developing situation, we issued port reports to keep stakeholders and customers informed of all operational updates. These communications included an announcement that the Port Commission unanimously approved a 3-month rollback of the current port tariffs to those in effect on December 31, 2019. The reduced rates remained in effect from April 1, 2020 through June 30, 2020. This tariff rollback was an action we took to relieve some of the financial burdens inflicted on port users by the pandemic. At the port, we work feverishly to advance projects that not only will enhance our navigational infrastructure for safer, more efficient energy transport, but also invigorate our business community and improve the financial health of our customers and community businesses. But I'd rather you hear that directly from those we serve. Here's a short video from our friends and comrades at Moda Midstream.
Moda Midstream is one of the largest customers in the Port of Corpus Christi. We have 3 deep water berths that service the export industry. When we acquired the site, we had 2 million barrels of storage. Today, we're proud to say we are 12 million barrels strong. COVID-19 really created tremendous challenges to everybody, not only in the industry, but nationwide, worldwide. We're particularly excited that throughout this whole process, this whole pandemic, the port has been able to go on and initiate the next stage of the Channel Improvement Project, which will bring 54 feet of draft to us at Ingleside.
The Port of Corpus Christi has made it a priority to stay open for business because our customers depend on us. They have essential goods and services that they provide to Americans and our trading partners around the world. Whether in good times or trying times, we're going to come out of this better together.
As our friend and partner Javier said, throughout this ordeal, the port surged ahead with our historic Corpus Christi Ship Channel Improvement Project, or CIP. In February, the White House announced that the fiscal year 2021 President's budget included over $100 million for the project under U.S. Army Corps of Engineers Civil Works Division for coastal navigation construction. This is the 3rd consecutive year that the Port of Corpus Christi has been included in the President's proposed budget. The proposed budget of $100,366,000 is a sharp increase from past budgets. The CIP received $53 million in the 2020 federal budget and $13 million in the 2019 federal budget. The U.S. Army Corps of Engineers included $23 million in its 2018 work plan and $59 million in the 2019 work plan. That is a total of more than $248 million. In April, the United States Army Corps of Engineers awarded a $97.9 million construction contract to Texas-based Collin Marine Limited to complete the second phase of the four-phase channel improvement project. Contract 2 will deepen and widen the Corpus Christi ship channel from Harbor Island to 2.7 miles past the La Quinta Junction and includes Ingleside, where 3 large crude export marine terminal operators, Buckeye Partners, Moda Midstreams, and Flint Hills Resources will benefit. As we powered through the challenges of an undeniably unpredictable year, it was important that we maintain business continuity and work diligently to advance port projects so that no momentum was lost and jobs were protected. The port upheld its social responsibility to support our communities with much needed resources and funds to overcome the challenges of 2020. While the port identified ways to relieve our customers, we continued our support of the national and regional response effort. We worked with our friends and partners at HEB to transport and package much needed hand sanitizer for responders and workers on the front line. To date, we've donated more than 2,200 gallons of hand sanitizer to our law enforcers and healthcare workers, and I want to share with you a video that chronicles that effort.
What we have going on today is we have a distribution of hand sanitizer. This has been graciously donated by HEB. The distilleries in the state of Texas and across the country, they've been allowed to repurpose their operations to create this hand sanitizer, but it's in bulk. And so what we've done at the port is take it from bulk in 55-gallon drums and bring it down to a size that can be distributed to our first responder groups.
We have a lot of responders out there with firsthand contact with the public, and a lot of people who are either carrying the virus or suspected of carrying the virus. Law enforcement, the fire service, and the EMS need a way to obtain hand sanitizer. When you go to the store, there just isn't any to purchase right now.
I'm getting it for the city of Fremont, the city of Orange Grove, city of Alice, and Chicos County.
To be able to bring this here and to provide that to them, it's been really great for them. It's just one less thing they have to worry about.
That increases morale, it increases how well the people work together in the future. It increases the amount of trust that people have in between each other.
I think we'll be a healthier community because of it, and hopefully a stronger community as we've all had to work together to get over this.
At the Port of Corpus Christi, we challenged ourselves with a special responsibility to reinvest in our communities and uplift those who have been impacted by this economic downturn. We gave $250,000 to the Small Business Recovery Grant Program, a collaboration between the Port, the City of Corpus Christi, and the United Corpus Christi Chamber of Commerce, developed to jumpstart small businesses affected by the COVID-19 shutdown. Port Manager of Emergency Management, Danielle Hale, said it best: as we work together, we become stronger together. In May, the Port allocated a $200,000 grant to Lift Fund, a nonprofit community lender, to provide COVID-19 loans at 0% interest to eligible small businesses in Nueces and San Patricio counties. What is so terrific about this program is that after the loans are repaid, the funds will subsequently be relent to area businesses on a revolving basis. Here's a short video that tells the story better than I can.
My name is Rosalia Martinez, and I am an owner of AS Hair Designers in Portland. Before the pandemic, we were more people in this shop, but then after the pandemic, we had to close. Really, everything started. I just was taking a few days off because my mom was real ill. She's 90 years old. And right after, actually, my sister became positive, and she passed. So it has been super hard. I don't know how to do nothing else than working. So for me not to be able to work anymore, it was like, what am I gonna do? The Port of Corpus Christi came to my life through Lead Fund. And I just decided to go and apply. And I think like 2-3 days, she called me and she said, hey, you are passed and you approved for $10,000. That loan really helped me to feel support and secure about going throughout this pandemic. I know I will be okay.
Rosalia, like so many small business owners and operators, forms the backbone of our community. She embodies resilience, and our Port family was blessed to be able to offer her and others a supportive hand. As we watched our families and schools struggle with a conversion to distance learning, we again asked ourselves what the Port of Corpus Christi could do to help out. In answer to that question, our community relations team came up with a plan to donate $90,000 to the Port's Energizing Our Students program, which funded the donation of Chromebooks and mobile hotspots to our adopted schools, including Ingleside Primary, Gloria Hicks Elementary, George Evans Elementary, T.G. Allen Elementary, David Crockett Elementary, H.G. Olson Elementary, and Minger Elementary. Here's a video that highlights the impacts in a way that words cannot.
Here at Minger Elementary, teaching through the pandemic has been a big challenge for our teachers.
So you're gonna write to me a couple of things that you do in the morning.
This is the first year that any of us had been exposed to this teaching online or virtually, or just not having the students in the classroom. Several of our families were not prepared with devices for the students at home. A lot of them that did have a device had to share. We have one family that has 9 children, and so they had one device. We really had to scramble and figure out how to make it happen. The Port of Corpus Christi donated 60 Chromebooks. That provided a lifeline for our students to stay connected to the teachers. They were able to see their teachers face to face through Zoom, and they were able to continue working on lessons and staying on track. We have 230 students, so for 60 students to have their own computer device was huge. This year more than ever, we definitely needed support from our community partners, and the Port of Corpus Christi pulled through. They were able to provide for our students, for our teachers, and they just continue to help us service the students in our community.
These stories are forever threaded into the fabric of our community story. And I'm so honored to be able to tell you, to not only tell you, but to show you that the Port of Corpus Christi is not a fair weather friend. We are here to guide you safely and responsibly through calm seas and troubled waters. Despite the pandemic, our Port Energy Crew volunteer force remained active. When it wasn't safe to volunteer in person, they got creative with virtual opportunities. They even read children's books online and shared virtual links with area school libraries. They contributed more than 545 volunteer hours to community organizations. Considering that in 2019, the Port Energy Crew volunteered 624 hours in the community, that's pretty impressive. Though the COVID-19 pandemic slowed down the wheels of commerce for many, the Port of Corpus Christi continued powering forward and used our clout to help those in need. We also moved forward with meaningful projects to show our hopeful outlook. We reinforced our commitment to partners at the Texas State Aquarium. We remain extremely proud of the fact that the aquarium draws water for its exhibits from Corpus Christi Bay, because that's a testament to the water quality of our channel. But we took it a step further and helped fund program costs for the new Texas Center for Wildlife Rescue, Recovery, and Research, a dedicated facility to house the state and federal permitted wildlife program, working to rehabilitate and, whenever possible, release back to their native habitats marine mammals, sea turtles, shorebirds, and raptors. Though they each battled the challenges of COVID-19, and subsequent storms in their own home fronts, our port employees remain committed to our port mission to protect the safety and well-being of the communities in which we operate and live. That is, at the Port of Corpus Christi, we're not unaffected personally by COVID-19, nor were we unaffected by Hurricane Hanna or Tropical Storm Beta. And as Sean said earlier, we certainly were not unaffected by the Tule Lake Channel fire. All of these challenges bore down upon us with a fury that was almost biblical in proportion. And so, how were we able to power through and continue to do what all of you depend on us to do? 2 words, and that's our people. On March 12, we sent 75% of our port workforce to work from home out of an abundance of precaution. While managing their own households and impacts from the pandemic, our port employees quickly adapted to this new normal. They converted to virtual meetings and networked into a virtual port community that never lost momentum. We went from doing business on site and meetings in conference rooms and at facilities daily to meetings via Microsoft Teams, WebEx, Google Meet, Zoom, and many other virtual platforms with which I had never worked but am now intimately familiar with in many ways. We learned a new language and we did it together, and it made us stronger. From February to March, we experienced a 1,294% increase in remote working calls, such as Microsoft Teams, chat, channel messages, and virtual meetings and calls. Sean, my fellow commissioners, and I have always been exceedingly proud of the people who move our port, and 2020 only reinforced that pride and awe. Let me share with you some of the amazing achievements this year by these people who move our port. They secured a federal grant of more than $17 million from the U.S. Department of Transportation Maritime Administration to expand Oil Dock 3 as the first of 4 phases in the redevelopment of Avery Point Terminal to safely and efficiently accommodate today's modern fleet. They also earned a grant in June from the Texas Department of Transportation for safety improvements to the Joe Fulton International Trade Corridor and Rincon Road leading to the Rincon Industrial Complex. And not to mention, they were awarded a grant in April for $471,000 from the U.S. Environmental Protection Agency to procure and deploy trash skimming technology for collecting fugitive refuse in the Salt Flats ditch near Nueces Bay. In addition to hosting a virtual hurricane conference, our team was able to also secure FEMA funds for infrastructure repairs damaged during Hurricane Harvey in 2017. And they coordinated operations safely through the Category 1 Hurricane Hanna with only 42.5 hours of channel disruption. We hosted Texas Energy Day and brought together a virtual gathering that featured members of the Texas delegation, including U.S. Senator John Cornyn, U.S. Senator Ted Cruz, Representative Michael Cloud, Representative Henry Cuellar, and Representative Lizzie Fletcher. In June, the Port of Corpus Christi was added to Argus American Gulf Coast Select Crude Index, further positioning Corpus Christi as a major hub for crude oil contracts. Most recently, we announced the conclusion of a 4-year labor of love, our Hillcrest Washington Coal's voluntary real estate acquisition and relocation program. The first of its kind voluntary program combined the efforts of the Port of Corpus Christi, the Texas Department of Transportation, the Federal Highway Administration, the Corpus Christi Housing Authority, and the City of Corpus Christi. This is an especially poignant program that truly captures the spirit of what we do at the port, working together to enhance the quality of life for the communities we serve. Thanks to this program, 21 residents in the area now are first-time homeowners, and the community success stories extend beyond that. I'd like to share a video that highlights all of the powers that came together to make this dream a reality.
When the Texas Department of Transportation began preparations for construction on a new harbor bridge here in Corpus Christi in 2015, a dialogue was started about possible negative impacts on residents along the bridge route. They had industry encroachment from the west, the port from the north, the Interstate 37 from the south, and now possible isolation by the new bridge to the east. As a result, the Port of Corpus Christi joined in the effort to do something about it.
In talking with representatives of TxDOT, it became apparent that we were going to need to put a program together, one that had never happened in the United States, to begin a program of buying out residences and businesses in what we call the Hillcrest area. The Port of Corpus Christi met with the City of Corpus Christi, with the Corpus Christi Housing Authority, and with the Texas Department of Transportation, and commissioners put together $20 million to seed that program.
The legal parameters that protected the residents would be those in the Uniform Relocation Act, a federal statute that governs acquisitions. The problem was the federal statute deals with eminent domain and condemnation. And when you get into a voluntary program, it is very unclear what you should do in certain situations. And so we had to negotiate and hammer that out with both the Residents' Council as well as Federal Highway.
There was a civil rights complaint that caused this project to start. So since no one was directly impacted, the Uniform Relocation Act really didn't apply 100% to this area. The four policymakers did a great job of making the URA work and fit.
The Voluntary Acquisition Relocation Program was a program that was made available to residents within the Northside area. The options that were available to the program were acquisition and relocation. They had the option to take a life estate, or they could also select it's a restrictive covenant, saying that the port would have first right of refusal to that property when the event it came available.
This was incredibly unique. So unique that we will serve as the model for other jurisdictions to possibly undertake something similar. What was fascinating is that we had templates for relocations. It happens all the time, but never have we said this is voluntary.
Our program was built on the four precepts of respect, dignity, fairness, and transparency. We're going to do our best to do what's best for as many people as possible.
The majority of the residents in Hillcrest chose the relocation option, which was to sell their property to the port, and the port would then give them the difference in order to buy that replacement property. In some cases, people were receiving 3 times, 4 times in some cases, the value of their property in Hillcrest to get a replacement house someplace outside of Hillcrest.
For the average American, they build wealth through homeownership, and this was probably the biggest benefit to residents, that we're able to relocate them to a property of their choosing, and they also get the long-term benefit of a property that's going to appreciate in value.
When I walked in here, the neighbors opened arms. Beautiful neighborhoods, beautiful neighbors, and I'm very, very happy. Ever since, I've had peace.
You can't just say, I'm going to give you dollars for what it's worth. I've got to know what it's going to cost me when I move across town. And that delta was also a part of this program. And so I think that makes it uniquely successful.
We had 467 parcels or property owners that we believed were eligible for the project. Of the 386 that met eligibility, we presented offers to all 386. 304 accepted the offers, and all 304 of those properties are now owned by the Port of Corpus Christi. Of the 156 tenants that received offers, 21 of them just took those funds and became first-time homeowners.
It isn't giving me the home. They gave me the opportunity to where I'm buying this. In the equity of this home, I can borrow against this if I ever need to for whatever reason. That's money that's mine. To me, this is everything I could ever want.
One thing right there, the fact that you could take someone that had never been a homeowner before and make them a primary homeowner for the first time in their lives was extremely important. There's no question in my mind that it's changed people's lives.
4 years after we started, those who wanted to relocate now have new homes. Those who wanted to stay remain in the neighborhood. And the combined partners have spent more than $55 million in the effort. And we will continue this relationship as good neighbors who listen to and work with all of our surrounding communities. Our hope is this new bridge will stand as a symbol for unity for decades to come.
I'll close with this thought. In maritime, when you're sailing straight into the wind, your point of sail, the boat's direction, is called in irons. That's what this year has been for us, with unprecedented, unpredictable, and absolutely unforgettable challenges. We prepare for storm after storm, but even as we navigate these uncharted waters, we remain optimistic of a strong recovery. To the nation, we are the #1 crude oil export port, but at home, we are your port, your neighbor, your friend, and we're here to sail in irons with you. The health and safety of our employees, customers, stakeholders, and the communities we serve is always our top priority. We promise to guide you safely and responsibly, and you can always count on us to be Port Strong.